Welcome to our sustainable house. We're Rita and Rob, and we acknowledge that our house is built on Whadjuk Noongar land, and we respect their elders past, present and emerging. So welcome, come on inside.
Yeah, come on.
We returned from Hobart to Perth in 1989, and we've always had a passion for living sustainably and for nature generally. And so we decided to buy this 10-acre property together with my family, and so we then had to build a house, and we decided to do this ourselves as much as we could, because at that time the interest rates were 13.5%, and so we decided to build a rectangular shaped house because that's the cheapest roof construction, and all the services are on the south side along one wall, which also made for a much cheaper build. The house is built on a standard West Australian building concepts with double brick and Colorbond roof and aluminium frame with sliding windows. We built this as an owner build, did most of what we could ourselves. My dad did the limestone, laid the limestone walls, and he did all the plastering on the inside of the house. And a friend of ours with the builder's ticket, he was our site supervisor. We built the house in stages, so the lock-up, the outside shell is 18 metres by 10 metres, and we built that to lock-up stage, and then the rest of it we built in two sections. 2/3 of it was the main living room, kitchen, 3 bedrooms and a bathroom and the laundry. And this room, which is now the lounge room, that was our workshop until we'd built a shed. Then we could finish off the rest of this part of the house with the living room, the main lounge room, master bedroom and an upstairs attic. And the whole inside of the house wasn't finished until about 2005, so it took us about 15 years, but that came about because, as you can see in this room, we have a passion for woodwork, and we did most, except for the floor, we did all of this woodwork ourselves.
The house was built on according to a passive solar design. There was an architect called Gary Baverstock in the 1990s who was giving seminars about this, and we went to them and thought, oh, that's a good idea. So the main thing is about having all your windows facing to the north. And we've got bullnose verandas around 3 sides of the house, but the north side has a grapevine over the pergola, and so in summer the grapevine leaves shade the house, and in winter the sun can come through and warm it up inside. There's got a massive heat construction, so there's the solid walls outside, heavy duty bricks on the inside, and the concrete floors with slate on it, so it absorbs the heat when the sun shines through during the day. And the windows and curtains are the other important factor, so we've got curtains all the way around the house with lining and the main curtains and pelmets. So in winter, at night time, we close the curtains and keep the heat in, and during the day we open the curtains and let the sun shine in and warm the house up. In summer, we have the curtains closed during the day, and at night time we open the curtains and the windows and let the wind come through from the prevailing southwesterly winds or the easterly breezes to cool the house down. The performance of the house is very good. It's never got above 30 degrees in summer, even after you have 3 or 4 days of 40-degree heat. And in the winter we have a wood stove with a wetback to heat hot water. But we don't always use that for heating the house because it's warm enough. We just have it for the hot water, so there's enough hot water for a shower in the morning. So our second feature, sustainability feature, is electricity use and solar photovoltaics. We were using about 1,300 kilowatt hours per billing cycles, and we had this big old heirloom fridge from the 1960s, so we replaced that with an energy efficient fridge and turned off the beer fridge that was outside, that was always on but hardly ever used, and that saved about 1/3 of our electricity costs. And then in 2009 we put solar PV on. So we started off with a 1.2 kilowatt system, and then we upgraded that to a 1.8 kilowatt system a year later, and that reduced our bills by another 1/3, and so we are down to about 400 kilowatt hours per billing cycle, down from 1,300. Our energy costs are pretty low. We've had the 40 cents feed-in tariff, and we pay about $440 per year for our electricity, and that's 4,800 kilowatt hours per the year. And we also have gas, and we use gas for cooking, and that costs us about $100 a year.
Yeah, when we first started living in this house, we had water from the bore, which is up at my sister's house, and it was gravity fed to a tank at our house. Then eventually we decided that at some stage or rather this property is going to get subdivided, and then the water will be up at their house and we won't have any water at all. Well, we decided to build a water tank. So we had a 110,000 litre huge rainwater tank installed next to the shed, and we have enough water off the roof of our house and the roof of the shed that we could possibly fill another 50,000 or 100,000 litres on top of the tank that we already have. But also what we ended up doing was we turned off the reticulation on the lawn, because we had the lawn out the front of the house for the kids when they were little and to keep the bush at bay a bit, but we don't need it for the kids anymore, so we still have the open space with no trees, but we've turned the retic off and we're now in the process of planting native plants.
So the rainwater tank supplies water to the house and the fruit trees and the ornamental plants and the veggie garden. And originally we had a veggie garden just planted in the sand, in the West Australian not very good sand, and it didn't do very well. So I was inspired by Renew magazine to build a wicking beds garden that we did out of integrated bulk containers, those 1 metre by 1 metre by 1 metre cubes, cut them in half and made the wicking beds. That's good because it saves a lot of water, because the water comes from the bottom, so you don't get so much evaporation, and the roots grow down to where the water is, so that you don't get a problem with drying out, etc. And we've other ideas we got from Renew was to make our own biochar with a biochar burner that we mix in with the soil that we make ourselves with the worm castings, compost, and some trace elements, etc. And the other thing that we've done, what was inspired by Renew again, is to make a vertical garden out of PVC water pipes, which is on wheels so we can move it around, and that also uses wicking bed principles to suck up the water from rags stuck in the bottom. Yeah, it's almost hydroponics, yeah. What did we learn about this house that we could have done better? Well, from the design point of view, it's ended up too dark in the kitchen area, so we tend to have the LED lights on quite often during the day. And it would have been great if the laundry was a metre wider as well, but that would have made the whole house a metre wider, and that would have cost more. And so there's the trade-offs that you've got to have. This house it's
comfortable.
It's a comfortable house. It's not an architect build super duper thing. It's just a standard family house.
Designed it ourselves, and it's our home.
And it's cosy, and we're happy, and we love it.
Yeah.